Hey there, it's Bobby, aka Paginator, and I have got a haul for you today from Book Outlet. I have been super excited to get this package, and it finally arrived. First, a little side note slash apology. I finally have gotten a vlogging camera, which is going to work better with editing as far as matching the audio and video, and I know that sometimes my videos can be out of sync, and I sincerely apologize for that, but this camera shoots at the same frames per second rate as my editing software uses, so we should be good to go, I hope. So in this Book Outlet haul, I did half young adult and half middle grade books. And I decided to do that because my poor classroom library is being swamped by young adult stuff, which is fine, but I still have some kids in my class that need the middle grade stuff. So I'm going to start with those, and I'll just tell you a little bit about each book. On some of the books I'm going to be reading the back or the dust jacket to, just because it does a much better job than I could of describing what the book's about. But in most cases I've kind of made my own notes just to help you. But for this first one I am going to be reading, so I'm just going to go ahead and hold this cover up for you. It is called A Nearer Moon, and it is by Melanie Crowder. And it says, along a lively river in a village raised on stilts lives a girl named Luna. All her life she has heard tales of the time before the dam appeared, when sprites danced in the currents and no one got the mysterious wasting illness from a mouthful of river water. These are just stories, though. No sensible person would believe in such things. Yet beneath the waves is someone who might disagree. Perdita is a young water sprite delighting in the wet splash and sparkle, and sad about the day her people will finally finish building their door to another world. When little Willow falls ill with the river sickness, everything changes. Luna is determined to find a cure for her beloved sister no matter what it takes, even if that means believing in magic. Alright. Next we have Callan Clattermaster's Treehouse, and this is about a boy named Callan who's very wiggly and he just struggles paying attention to things. What his situation is that his dad is gone, he's just gone, and his mom won't tell him where his dad is or what's happening, and he wishes that he could escape to this imaginary tree house that he's thought of, and it's got 100 puppies, and it's got older brothers for him to hang out with, and all these fun things like a couch that looks like a hot dog, but the treehouse is imaginary. So this is going to be a story about Callan trying to find his way in this new family situation. Alright, in this one, this is of Enemies and Ending, the Ever Afters, and I usually try not to buy last books in a series without reading the rest of the series, but for some reason this ended up in my cart and I got it anyway, and it kind of reminded me of The School for Good and Evil. But I don't really know what's going on with this book. I know that there's a girl named Rory and that she's got a friend named Chase, and their school, the Ever After school, is going to have some kind of final battle with an enemy. That's all I really want to say about it, because I'm going to have to dig through Book Outlet or somewhere else to find the other books in the series so I know what's going on. Once Upon the End is also a last book in the series. I have read the other ones in this one. This goes with Half Upon a Time and then Twice Upon a Time. And we have Jack and May, who are young kids who are battling different fairy tale things like beanstalks and pirates and dragons and evil queens and all kinds of stuff. And I don't want to tell you what's happening going into the third one because I don't want to spoil anything for the other two. But if you're interested in the series, it is by James Riley, and he does a lot of middle grade fun fairy tale-ish kind of things. The next book I got is The Dark is Rising by Susan Cooper. This book's been out for ages. It's a Newbery Honor book, and it's just one that it's good to have on my shelves. If you don't know, it's about a boy named Will who finds out on his 11th birthday or somewhere around there that he's one of the old ones, and he is, I think, the last one. And these are people who fight against the dark, which is the evil forces that want to take over the world. And in this book, he has to find the 6 signs which will help the old ones in their final battle against the dark, but the dark has sent out a creature called the Rider to take on Will. Then we have Furthermore by Taher Mafi, and this one, if you don't know, Taher Mafi is the author of the Shatter Me series. Let's see if I can hold it better this way. Go somewhere, book. Okay. In this one we have Alice. Her father is missing. He just disappeared one day, and I think he had like a ruler with him or something, just nothing really to help him. And Alice has to go on an adventure to find him through this mystical, magical, weird land of Furthermore, where things might be upside down and all kinds of craziness happens. I'm getting a lot of Wonderland vibes, like Alice in Wonderland situation here, but who knows. She does have a companion, a boy named Oliver, who is a guide, but he has secrets. Will they find her father? Will they not? We have to read it to find out. All right. The next book is by Claire Legrand, who wrote Furyborn, which has been all the hype lately in the book community. This one is Victoria, who's a perfectionist. She can't have a hair out of place, her bed unmade, nothing like that. But her good friend, Lawrence, is a mess. He's always rumpled, but she thinks, oh, I can help him. But Lawrence goes missing, and Victoria realizes he's not the only one. There's a lot of kids from their town that have gone missing, and all roads lead to this Cavendish home for boys and girls. And when kids come out of there, they're better, prettier, smarter, or they don't come out at all. And so there's a mystery here, and Victoria needs to go and save her friend Lawrence and her town. Then we have Falling In by Frances O'Rourke Dow, and this is about a girl named Isabel Bean who can hear this buzzing sound, and when she listens to it, she gets in trouble in class and ends up in the principal's office. And while she's waiting for her punishment, she somehow magically stumbles into a fairy land, and the people there in this land think that she's a witch because of the peculiar way that she's dressed. They think she's the witch, like the baddie witch that's supposed to be coming. So she's got to convince them that she's not a witch and find a way to either live or make her way out of this fairy tale land. Frances O'Rourke Dow also wrote Shooting the Moon, which is a realistic historical fiction book, and it's one of my favorites that I recommend to students all the time. Up next we have Pandemonium, and this is part of the Fun Jungle series by Stuart Gibbs. If you don't know that series, it is set in a place called Fun Jungle, which is kind of like a big zoo. It's an animal preserve, but also where people can come and visit. It's a touristy place. And each book in the series you can read by themselves if you wanted to. I would recommend reading them in the order just because you get to know the characters and that kind of thing. But in this book, the panda, which his name is Li Ping, and the Fun Jungle has gone to a lot of work to get this panda, he's kidnapped. And so the FBI has come, and all these people are trying to find this panda. Teddy Fitzroy, who lives just outside of Fun Jungle because his parents work there, he often has to solve the mysteries in this case, and he wants to leave this one to the FBI, but he ends up being blackmailed into working on this case, and crazy stuff happens. I read the first book in the series to my students last year, and they loved it a lot, and many of them have gone on to read the rest of the series. Then we have Tell the Story to Its End. This is another book where a young person doesn't know where their father is. We have Ollie. He and his mom have gone to live with their aunt and uncle, or at least stay for a while, in this creepy old house in the woods. And Ollie doesn't know why, and his mom won't tell him where his dad is, and he's just full of questions. Well, Ollie discovers a secret about this house, which is that there is a creature living in the attic. The creature's name is Aaron. It's not human, it's hungry, and it has been expecting Ollie. And so Aaron offers to listen to Ollie, offers to help, but Aaron wants something in return. I don't know how I'm going to love this book because the scary creature shares a name with my sister, who's also named Erin, but we'll see. If nothing else, I can make fun of her and call her a scary creature. She won't punch me or anything, will she? All right, in the young adult books, we have The Poison Diaries, and this is by Mary Rose Wood. This is about a girl named Jessamine who's 16 years old. Her father is an apothecary, and he has what's called the poison garden, full of just the most poisonous plants in the world. And Jessamine's forbidden to go in there. One day, someone brings a young man to her father, named Thomas. The young man's name is Weed, and they say, Thomas, you should take this boy in. He has wonderful magical powers, or I don't know if they're magical, but some kind of powers that you would greatly value. And so they take Weed in, and I'm going to read just a little bit from the back. It says, as Jessamine falls in love with Weed, she learns his extraordinary secret and is drawn into the dangerous world of the poison garden in a way she never could have imagined. So that one sounds very intriguing. Up next we have Courtship and Curtsies by Marissa Doyle. This is about a young woman named Sophie who is entering London society, and she feels absolutely lost. Her mother is gone. I don't know if she's passed away or just gone. And her father is constantly working to fight against Napoleon. He's part of the War Office, I believe. And Sophie has overcome this illness that was very devastating to her. It left her with a limp and it took away her magic. And I'm not sure what kind of magic she had. I'll have to read it to find out. She is befriended by this man named Lord Woodbridge. And she is not sure if his attentions are sincere or if he just pities her. But then something happens at Woodbridge's ball. Her father is attacked, and other members of the War Office are being attacked as well and targeted. And so Sophie realizes she has to do something. And the tagline in this book says, "A young witch falls in love and secretly saves England." So she's going to have to play a starring role in what happens here. The next book is Reese Kingdom Falling, and this says the prequel to the exciting sci-fi webisode series. I didn't know there was a series. The cover triggered my purchase because it looked kind of steampunky, and that is an absolute trigger for me. There's another book in this pile that was that way as well. And so it is a prequel to that webisode series if you know it. If this book is good, I might have to check that series out. So it's about Reese. She is a princess, but she'd rather be out hunting or fighting. And one day she's on a cliffside near the palace, and she meets this guy named Micah, who is a traveling artist, and he's very mysterious. We don't know all of what he's about. Meanwhile, war is threatening her kingdom. There's a rival kingdom that is constantly threatening. And there is a religious clockwork sect who offers aid, but Reese feels like they might have some sinister intentions. What's behind the aid? Should they accept it or not? Then we have Beneath the Haunting Sea, and it's a girl underwater, and for some reason that intrigues me as well. I'm reading Sea Witch right now, and I'm very in this sea vibe, so this might be the next thing I read. I don't know. This is about Talia, who's 16, and I'm going to read to you a bit from the dust jacket. It says, Talia was born to a life of certainty and luxury, destined to become empress of half of the world. But when an ambitious rival seizes power, she and her mother are banished to a nowhere province on the far edge of the northern sea. It is here in the drafty halls of Ruindar that Talia discovers family secrets, a melancholy boy with a troubling vision of her future, and a relic that holds the power of an ancient star. On these shores, the eerie melody of the sea is stronger than ever, revealing long-forgotten tales of the goddess Ran. The more dark truths that Talia unravels about the god's history and her own, the more the waves call to her, and it's her destiny to answer. So I don't know if she's going to be literally going into the waves, becoming a sea creature or mermaid of some kind, or if she's going to be sailing, but something about the sea is really pulling her in. All right. Next we have The Chaos of Standing Still by Jessica Brody. This was an author purchase for me. I really like Jessica Brody, and I like everything that I've read of hers. This is about a girl named Rin, and she has an unread text message on her phone that she's had for a year. It was sent to her from her friend who's now passed away, and Rin gets stuck in the Denver airport due to a blizzard on the exact 1-year anniversary of her friend's death. She runs into this boy, like literally runs into this boy named Xander, and they end up having their phones swapped. So I'm going to read to you a little bit of that. When the two accidentally swap phones, Rin and Xander are thrust into the chaos of an unforgettable all-night adventure. Filled with charming and mysterious strangers, a secret New Year's Eve bash, and a possible Illuminati conspiracy hidden within the airport. But as the bizarre night continues, all Rin can think about is that one unread text message. So we've got this something happened with her best friend. We've got to figure out what that was, as well as possible relationship thing happening with Rin and Xander, plus an adventure in the airport, being stranded. Sounds like something I'm ready to read. Alright, next we have This Broken Wondrous World. This is the sequel to Man-Made Boy, which I have somewhere on my shelves back here. Man-Made Boy is the story of the son of Frankenstein's monster. And I don't want to tell you too much about that, but this is the second book where Boy is asked by Dr. Moreau, yeah, that Dr. Moreau, to be part of his human-creature hybrid army that wants to take over the world and wipe out the humans. And so Boy has to decide where his loyalties lie. We've got 4 more books. This is Cures for Heartbreak, and this is by Margot Robb. And this is about Mia, who's 15. Her mom is diagnosed with cancer and very quickly passes away. And so this whole story is about Mia learning to live without her mother. She loves her mother so much that she had written in her journal, if she dies, I'll die. But she's got to find out how to live after her mother has gone. So it sounds like an emotional one. I might need a little bit of a break before I read this one because I just got through The Way I Used to Be, which, if you know, that book is very, very emotional, and I need some lighthearted stuff for right now. Then we have Devoted by Jennifer Mathieu, and she is the author of Moxie, which is one of my most favorite books that I read last year. And she also wrote The Truth About Alice, which I haven't read, but I want to. This is about Rachel. Her family and her community have isolated themselves from the world, kind of withdrawn, and Rachel's life is very controlled. How to dress, how to be modest, who to marry, all of that kind of stuff. But when a girl who had escaped from their community comes back to their small Texas town, Rachel realizes, oh, my life is my own. I just need to be brave enough to fight for it. So I'm really interested in this because it sounds like it could be a religious cult of some kind, maybe not even to that extreme, but something similar to that. And this kind of story always interests me because I am Mormon, and while we don't practice polygamy anymore, there is an offshoot of our church that does, and they have a very bad reputation for being a cult. I believe they are. And it's just scary the way that people's lives can be controlled sometimes. So we'll see what happens with this. This one is a book that I'm not really going to tell you a whole lot about. I'm just going to show you the cover. It is Shadow of the War Machine by Kristen Bailey. And look at this wolf. It's like a metal steampunky wolf. And as I mentioned, steampunk is a trigger for me for purchasing things. I'm really into that kind of stuff. This is actually a third in the series, which is why I'm not going to tell you what it says on the back. I didn't even read it myself. That's how little I want to know. I'll also show you the back where it shows the other two covers in the series. So we have Legacy of the Clockwork Key and Rise of the Arcane Fire, and then we come to Shadow of the War Machine. I couldn't not buy this book, and I knew that it was a third one when it was in my cart, but I couldn't help myself, hence the trigger. So I'm going to have to hunt down the other two. If you know anything about this series, in a non-spoilery way, let me know if you would recommend it in the comments below. All right, last book is Metaltown by Kristen Simmons. And here again, we have another steampunky kind of thing. And I'm going to read some of the dust jackets to you here. The rules of Metaltown are simple. Work hard, keep your head down, and watch your back. You look out for number one, and no one knows that better than Ty. She has been surviving on the factory line as long as she can remember, but now Ty has Colin. She's no longer alone, and it's the two of them against the world. That's something even a town this brutal can't take away from her until it does. Then we have a character named Lena, and it says Lena's future depends on her family's factory, a beast that demands a ruthless master. And Lena is prepared to be as ruthless as it takes if it means finally proving herself to her father. But when a chance encounter with Colin, a dreamer despite his circumstances, exposes Lena to the consequences of her actions, she'll risk everything to do what's right. So Colin, who is Ty's boyfriend, I'm assuming, something happens in the factory. I don't know if he's hurt or if they have some kind of moment of chemistry, or I don't know what's going to happen, but we appear to have this triangle. I'm assuming that Lena's the heiress to the factory where Ty works in. I'm just intrigued. I am not super into love triangles, but this one just sounded interesting because it's in a different setting than sometimes we see, like not in the woods near forks. Just kidding. I loved Twilight when they came out. I read them all religiously. I just don't love them anymore. Anyway, that's it for my book outlet book haul, and I am looking forward to chatting with you about books more. So if you have anything to say in the comments about any of the books that I've shown, or if you have any questions about any of the books that I've shown, you're more than welcome to comment. And once again, I hope that the audio-video sync in my videos has worked out much better than it has in the past. So I'm wishing you all a wonderful and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.